I am so excited to interview today Jessica Boswell from Connecticut. Good morning, Jessica, and welcome to the Be the Solution podcast.
Hey, Maria, good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to dive right in with you today. So, Jessica, you have been in the real estate industry for some time and you have a team in Connecticut. And so I wanted to start from the beginning for a moment. I know your story because I heard you speak at the John Cheplack event, Conversion Con, a couple weeks ago. But how did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so I kind of fell into it. I was a scientist for a decade prior and I became really unhappy with the work. There was a glass ceiling, and I was getting paid probably half of what my male counterparts were getting paid doing the same exact work. And I just became really unhappy. I had no control over outcomes. And it's a profession where it takes like 10 to 15 years for a goal to come to fruition. And so, anyhow, my husband said, well, why don't you just, go ahead and leave and find something that you're passionate about? And so I'm glad that I did because he got called to St. Louis for his work as an environmental consultant to clean up a brownfield site for coral icon in the northern end of the city. And we had our son shortly after we moved there. And, you know, I tried the stay at home mom thing for a year and a half. And I loved being with my son, but I also knew that I needed something more. And that's when I decided to get into real estate.
And it's all been just an easy ride all along the way.
Yeah. There's been a lot of it's been a roller coaster. I joined a team in St. Louis and learned listings right off the bat, and I just took off. There was something that I just really loved about the energy of the city and the energy of real estate and the challenge of converting really, really difficult leads. And but it never felt like completely mine, right? Because I was always working for somebody else while I was on the team. And we moved back to Connecticut. My husband's parents, their health was failing. We bought a house in their neighborhood so that we could walk to their house when they were having issues. And the woman whose listing I bought, I decided to ask her, hey, do you want a listing agent? And then it just kind of went from there. But same thing, I never felt like it was completely my own until I started my own team.
And again, that was super easy to do.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
quite a transformation over the last year-ish, year and a half. What made you decide that now is the time to take care of yourself from a health perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I ran myself into the ground during COVID, especially as a solo agent. I mean, I had become like a very different person. They're super high strung, just constantly working, working, working. It's like the only thing that I lived, ate, breathed, like it's the only thing I talked about. It interfered with like events, birthdays, vacations. It like permeated everything. And so I was like neglecting my health and my family. And that inevitably like caught up with me. And being able to start the team and develop it finally honestly gave me the time to focus on myself. I was able to run this morning when old Jessica would have been like, nope, don't have time for that. Like, this buyer wants a showing. I have this listing appointment. Like, they come first. All of them come first. And I'm also going to tell my husband, like, he has to stay home in the morning to get the kids off because I don't have time to deal with it. So it was just time to create more balance, and I did it by building the team and putting people in place that could give me some of that freedom.
It's all we want. Everybody wants is freedom, right?
Yeah, I mean, what does John always say? There are two types of agents, especially team agents, right? They want to make more money in the same amount of time, or they want to have more freedom while making the same amount of money. And I think that that's, the same for a team leader. Um, you know, I guess optimally we would have a balance of both. But for right now, like while I'm building my business, I'm really enjoying the time that it's affording me with my family, being able to go on intentional vacations with my health, taking up running, even like having the time to do the coaching program with Shannon and Alec. Like I never would have had that time before. I run every morning, I go to the gym every evening. Um, having intentional time with my husband because it takes time to like heal a relationship that during COVID was almost destroyed. So, um, so yeah, I mean, having that time is worth I suppose the money. If I was still working like 80 or 90 hours a week, yeah, sure. Could we profit more? Absolutely. But having that time with my young children and for myself is like golden because who knows, right? Like who knows what health issues we could develop later on in life by not taking care of ourselves that could then cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Or, I don't know, having a terrible relationship with your children at like when they're adults, right? Because you weren't there for them when they were little. And so those were things I didn't think about when I was just go, 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 go. It was a very short-sighted way to look at things. So, although it has been difficult and plenty of ups and downs building the team, and they're not over. I mean, I know there will be ups and downs for the entirety. I still feel like I'm in a better position than working myself to the bone like I was before. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. What challenges did you have to overcome personally to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, that's a really good question. What challenges have I had to overcome personally? I think, like you mentioned earlier, being able to put boundaries in place. So I'm very much like a people pleaser. And at the beginning of forming my team, I just wanted everybody to like me. And I have had to shed that. Like I've been forced to grow through that and realize that in order to protect my business and to protect the team as a whole, I can't go running around making everybody happy just because they've asked, for me to do something for them. Um, you know, if it's a sound decision and I'm hearing from several agents or my staff that like something needs to change, then of course I would consider it. So that's number one, putting some boundaries in place and learning that, it's okay to lead and it's okay to put my foot down about certain things. Um, Another thing was realizing that it was okay to take like Sundays off. Like that's how it started. Um, that it's okay to turn my phone off and it's okay to realize that I was really getting that like hit of dopamine or adrenaline or that rush like every time the phone would ding or like I had to like put that away as another addiction, right, that agents have is to our phones. So having to
Do
grow
you
through
think
that.
do you think that's part of the I'm important feeling of being needed
Yeah,
and ego
absolutely.
based, like ego based?
Yeah, like we all have to get over that, right? And um yeah, feeling important, feeling needed, feeling like you're the only one that like can do something well. Um, and now I kind of like I love figuring out who can do what better than me. Like it feels really good to be like, okay, like could I do this? Yes. Does it make sense for me to do this? Mm-mm. Like please, go ahead and help, and then I can focus on things that are much more meaningful. It's given me time to like start to view things at a much higher level than I would have otherwise. I'm not getting bogged down in that like minutia that sometimes is awesome to use to procrastinate that minutia. But yeah, being able to like to look at things from that high level has really helped me figure out what systems to develop, what lead sources to use, how I want to run my one-on-ones and my team meetings, and then I don't know, also like attend trainings like you do. I love to go to the Chet Block events, and I never went to any events before. So yeah, just so much good stuff.
Well, we have to surround ourselves with people who think differently than us, think maybe bigger. It really is all about proximity and who are the people in the room
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order for us to maybe, you know, I've read this book lately, a couple weeks ago, The Fifth Element, and I'm questioning everything. My
Right?
conditioning. We were
Yeah.
conditioned in a certain way because it's generational too. Even if I use the extremes of someone who is generationally extremely wealthy and somebody who's generationally in poverty. And it's the conditioning, and it could be through generations of the same conditioning, 3, 4, 5 generations. And this is like also in our genetics. So to break that mold, to break that barrier through and looking at things from a different perspective and questioning things that we've believed always to be true.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, big time. That's something that I've always like that I've always done actually since a young age. Like I've always I've always questioned authority. I've always questioned the norm. Maybe it's the Aquarius in me to push that envelope. And I think that's also why I had trouble in corporate, because I was always questioning, like, why are we doing things this way? Why do like um but being around this whole different level of operator has been like mind-boggling. Like when I see what some people have accomplished, by their 30s, um, I don't know, like the opportunities for us are limited. And being able to, like I posted this morning on social media, like get rid of these limiting beliefs that we were raised with, right? Beliefs about money, beliefs about like what success looks like. Um, of course, that's going to serve us to be able to shed those old habits. And um, we only know what we know until we know better, right? What is
Until we
that?
know
What did
better.
Oprah say? Like,
Until we know
like
better,
we
right?
do the best we can until we know better. Then once we know better, it's our duty to do better. So I
Yeah,
do agree with you with that. Yeah.
no doubt. No doubt. It is our duty. What does success mean to you?
Yeah, that has changed over the years. So it used to be like solely monetary and title related. And now like I'm taking a much more balanced approach. So success is like family life that I can be proud of, a marriage that I know that I can like rely on. My husband's always been like my rock. When there's something like very serious, even in my business, like a big, big decision that I need to make, like he's who I'll go to. I won't go to anybody else. So having that type of relationship, being able to, I don't know, like I just love being like physically affectionate with my kids and loving on them and like in that way. Like I'm not the type of mom that'll like go out and buy them clothes and like cook for them and stuff, but being able to be affectionate with my kids and like have them really love me as much as I love them, that's success. Um, one thing that Nick McLean has always said is that like real wealth is the wealth you can't see. And so being able to have money saved up in the bank, properties, um, building wealth that way, I think is a sign of success. Um, yeah. So relationships, wealth building, growing as a leader, and a human. Like, what's the saying? Like, um, uh, owning your own business is better than any like psychologist. Like, and like for me, holy crap, have I learned a lot about myself like in the past year and a half. I mean, I've grown by leaps and bounds. So, yeah, putting away the ego and learning that like making mistakes is a normal thing. And yeah, so also growing as a human being and never stopping growing, and then making good relationships. Like, this is really cool that we're on here talking. Like, this is success right here. So that's lots of different ways to define it.
Yeah, for sure. It's more than just our health is our wealth. It's like, what do we do with that then? And how do we
Yeah.
contribute? How do we contribute to society?
Yeah, exactly it. Right? Like, once we know these things, I think it's our obligation to like share them with others. Um, so I don't glow or anything like that, but I enjoy like sharing my fitness successes like with my family and my friends. I'll pop it on social media. Because honestly, like if I can do it, I feel like anybody can. So, um, so yeah, and just I don't know, being able to be there for my family in a way that I wasn't before, because I'm more energetic, like I'm a lot less depressed and anxious than I used to be. So being there like mentally present because like I'm physically in better condition is priceless.
Well, you can't take that away from somebody. That's only something that you can do for yourself. Nobody can do it for us. Just like nobody
Yeah.
can, it's like when you're selling, nobody can do the work for you. You have to do the work. There's no way around it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I love that it's like a simile, or like it can be compared to that. It's right. Nobody can, you can't like morph into your body and like go lift weights for you. And nobody can sit in that seat at a listing appointment, and crush it for you. Or, as a leader interviewing for new positions that are going to change your company, like nobody can do that for you. And we're the best at it anyway. Like we are, I don't know. I don't know how do I word this? We have like unique superpowers. We have our own special superpowers, and everybody has their own special superpower. And identifying what our superpower is and then using that and leveraging other people to do the things that are not our superpowers, like that's where it's at. I think that's where we can find some degree of freedom. And yeah, does it cost money to hire these people that we can leverage their superpowers? Of course, but time equals money, right? And time equals freedom. So I'll say it over and over again, getting that time back through leverage is invaluable.
So, what is it that you are looking forward to in your future? Like, what things are you building for 25, 26, 27?
25, 26, 27. Well, I would like to, sorry, you'll hear my dogs playing in the back. I would like to build out my team to 2 or 3 times the agent count that I have now. I would like to stock my bench with domestic employees that can help me grow, more domestic employees that can help me grow. My husband and I would like to pick up at least 3 more properties over the next few years. And I would like for one of them to be a lake house like Matt Smith. And yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, I don't have these huge business plans. Like John says, he just kind of goes to work and he does what feels right. That's almost like how I operate. Like, if it feels right, if I have a gut instinct about it, then I go with it. So far, that served me pretty well. Um, But yeah, I think the biggest one is like doubling or tripling the team count, you know. Um, by 5 years with a team, if I could do what the other teams in my state have done in 15 years, I'll be really happy.
Now I'm going to answer this question. Who do you think you have to become to be able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, an even stronger leader, you know, and much more clear with my staff about the goals that I have for them, and then how each of them should grow in my can grow in my ecosystem. So being able to identify, but also have that like synergistically with like their happiness, I think is going to be huge. So hopefully we can edit this. It's hard to like have the words for it. It's something that I almost like feel in my being, in my gut, like I know has to happen, and I'm gonna like evolve into this, but I can't like spell it out, because it's like you think you have this plan for yourself, right? But really the universe is like pushing you, and people come into my life, and then they'll be like, oh, like that's what I had to learn from that person, and here's what I'm learning from this person, and this person's pushing me up, and maybe like this person's got to go to teach me this lesson. So it's just it's an evolving process that's like unfolding before my eyes, and sometimes I have to like slow down and really sit and be like, okay, that was the lesson, you know. Hopefully that doesn't come out like a bunch of like mush. Sorry.
Do you believe in visualization?
Yeah, a lot. So it's kind of funny. So I like visualized myself like being on stage, and I really didn't think, like, I did not think it was going to happen for like 5 to 10 years. For some reason, I'm like, in 15 years, like I will have made it finally. And then I'll like be worth sharing some knowledge. But like when I run, especially on the treadmill, I love to like daydream about things. It's not necessarily like I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes and intentionally visualize. It's more like it's those treadmill moments, the shower moments, the trail running moments that I'll see myself doing these things. And a lot of those things have come to fruition. My own office, speaking on stage, growing a team. Like I'll oftentimes visualize myself standing with like an army of agents behind me, you know, like a big, beautiful picture of us like wearing clothes that match and like all of that good stuff. And yeah, it happens, man.
I've seen those pictures. I took my head, printed out a picture of a lot of people, big team, and I cut out a picture of my little head, and I put it on that team member's body, and I
I love
have it
that.
in the office. It's funny.
That's so good. Yeah. I still keep the vision board that I made with my very first team in 2017 as a team member. Like I still have it. I have my son's little face there. I have his college piggy bank. I have a wedding photo. I have like a really beautiful like gourmet dessert plate. I've got my lake house. I've got all sorts of stuff on there. And
So I
yeah, it's
think the
like one
one
by
thing we need
one.
to do is put a date on these things.
Yeah, I know, right? To make them real, timely, specific, measurable, actionable, timely. Yeah,
It's missing a date because we didn't tell the universe when we want to buy.
that's a
And
good
so
point.
the universe isn't going to give it to us because we didn't command it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The law of assumption.
Okay. Yeah, part of me is just like the universe will give it to me when the time is right. But it may be if I put that out there, the whole like, all right, universe, 5 years, we're going to be number one in Connecticut by unit count. 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. Maybe I should start doing that. visualize us at the top of the list with that date, right? With 20 2025. No, with 2035. Oh my God. No, 2030. 2030. That's not a bad number. 2030. I should start thinking of that more often. Should like write it down on a piece of paper and pop it in front of my treadmill or put it in my office. 2030. Yeah.
I haven't thought about 2030 yet, to be honest with you. I don't want
Right?
to
Like
think
a three.
I'll be
Think
60 in
about it.
2030. I'll be 60 in 2030, so I'm not really thinking about that right now.
I'm coming up on 50. I honestly feel like this is like the best time in my life. Like a lot of people say your 20s and your 30s are amazing, but shit, man, I don't want to go back there. Like that's okay with
No,
me.
no.
Yeah. Like these are the years, right? Like you're in the time in your life where you're like reaping the fruits of your labor, man. And I'm in that time in my life where it's like the labor and I can't wait to like to reap it, reap the
Yeah,
fruits of that. So yeah.
it's just
Age
like
is
getting
like a number. Age is a
I know.
number.
I
You act
know.
so
But
much younger
I
than that
actually
anyways.
I'm only like right now up to like 2027. And we're in 2024 still. So I'm like 2027,
Yeah, 3 years. We don't need to think beyond that, right?
three
We don't even
years.
need to think beyond this day. Like, what am I doing today that's gonna push the needle forward? And you know that too, right? Whether
That's
it's this
right.
podcast,
Every
the
day.
appointments that are going on, right? Like goals are good, right? But that can prevent us the bigness and they could be daunting and that can like keep us frozen from doing what we need to do today. So I'm okay with thinking like what needs to happen by today, the end of the week, the end of the year. That's okay with me. And then the universe will provide because we're doing the next right thing. We're doing the
Yeah,
next right thing.
the next right thing. What are the top
Yeah.
things to get done today that are the most important to move things forward? Every single day, that's what it's about. And I still do things old school. Like I have a book, I have a list of stuff that has to get done. Even though I have my calendar as well, I still have this book and a list, crossing the things off the list.
Yeah. That's
All,
satisfying.
old school works. Work
Yeah.
works, as I've been
Work
saying
work.
since 2008. Work works.
Yeah. And
So,
you walk the walk. I mean, you're like making phone calls, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone with podcasts and all like stuff like that. Like you genuinely do it, which I think is awesome, which I think is
yeah.
why you've built such a big presence in your area. I mean, you're just, like your husband said, your signs are everywhere. So we can all take a lesson out of your notebook where you're crossing things out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just keep doing the work day in, day out. So, before we wrap this up, Jessica, number one question. I have two questions for you. Number one, what's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is watching garbage TV, like Housewives and Below Deck, stuff like that. Right? You use your
Yeah,
brain all day. Then for that like last half hour of the day, that's what I watch. It's my guilty pleasure.
guilty, terrible, yucky TV
Right?
for
Yeah.
for just to not think,
Yeah. Just to not
just to
think
not
and to
think.
be like, God, like people like fun, like live like this. All right, I'm okay. Like I'm okay.
Yeah, it's all perspective. You get good perspective from the crazy shit.
Right? It's funny.
And for you personally, outside of your children and your husband, because that's like really important, but just for you, Jessica, personally, what are you most excited about for your personal future?
For my personal future,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm most excited about the idea of combining my new trail running passion with travel. It's such a great excuse to go to other countries. And there are a lot of women that are doing this in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, these types of endurance sports. And I mean, they're doing them in really beautiful places. So I'm
That's
excited for
super
that.
cool.
Yeah,
Super
yeah,
cool. There's plenty of places
right?
here in the great USA you can go, and Europe is a beautiful place to be running in the forest
Yeah, yeah,
as
for shoot,
well.
man. It's a great excuse to go to Hawaii. My coach went to Spain. Oh my God, the Alps. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I am just see all that good stuff in my future.
so
And
many
having the
beautiful
time and
places.
resources to travel. Yeah, I really, yeah, maybe go on a few trips by my by myself every year. Yeah.
You
So,
should. You should. This is the one life we have, so you should live it to the fullest.
yeah,
Well,
you're so
thank
right.
you, Jessica, for being on Be the Solution today. You certainly are that for your family, your team, your community, and God bless.
Thank
And
you. Thanks so much for having me. It's been really
uh,
wonderful.
my pleasure.